We start out with the Guardian newspaper, looking at investors may forfeit dividends as firms struggle to survive. We're talking about the economic survival here. Are the companies going to be able to make it? They're leading with that story. Companies' exit will pull over 5 trillion naira from stock market as the shareholders throwing out a warning there. And the shareholders on the verge of losing investment in multinationals. We talked last year, there was that story about some pharmaceuticals leaving the country. It looks like that is not yet over, but that's what the Guardian's leading with.
A really tough economic situation for many companies. I mean, especially when you think of those who have to generate their own power. Take a look at what New Telegraph has on the front page this morning. 2024 budget padding. Ningi in trouble as 7 more northern senators disown him. That's the lead story on the front page. I was quoted out of context, as according to Ningi, says he spoke for himself, not for Northern Senators Forum. Arawa think tank expresses disappointment. Charge him to court, Jimo Ibrahim tells executive. The story is on pages 2, 3, and 5 of the Daily. Ayo.
Look at what's on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper and how much of a concern is that story leading the Vanguard newspaper this morning. And it is something from the presidency. Look at it. Some regional forces working to destabilize Nigeria. That is coming from the presidency. And what are the replies you're getting already? The writers give you an inkling. Go after sponsors of terror. Afenifere charges Tinubu. ECOWAS experts move against terror financing, money laundering. I hid in a shrub like a snake to escape from abductors. That's according to Kurega students. Bandits demand 40 trillion naira ransom for 16 abducted Kaduna residents. All of these, what does it mean? Find the details on page 5 of the Vanguard newspaper this morning.
Well, the Daily Independent chose to dwell on that story at the Senate where the Senator Ningi defends self, insists 3 trillion naira not tied to any project. Alleged 2024 budget padding, that's what the Daily Independent is leading with. Ningi defends self, insists 3 trillion naira not tied to any project. And see the writers. Senator wants Ningi charged to court for misinformation. Northern senators distance themselves from padding allegations. That story you find more details of on page 29 of the Daily Independent.
Well, Nigerian Tribune has this one, still with the budget padding story. Alleged budget padding, Northern senators disown Ningi as crack widens. 3.7 trillion naira not traced in budget, Ningi insists. Arrest, charge Ningi for breach of peace. That's according to Senator Jimo Ibrahim. The story is on page 2 of the paper.
I thought they always had their backs.
I'm afraid that, well, he said he's happy to carry his cross alone. I mean, when you find that your brother senators are saying they don't know what you're talking about, you're on your own on this one. And he says, well, this is the situation. I was quoted out of context. What I said is in Hausa. Well, I think what would be very helpful, will be to have a professional or, they are professional translators, translate what he said within context of what, what he was speaking of.
Indeed.
And then also, put it out there. What was it saying exactly? Because he continues to insist that this 3.7 trillion naira is not tied to anybody. And I don't think that sort of thing should be swept away. If it was a mistake, let it be a mistake. But I want to believe that before any senator will come out to speak, let he or she, make sure that they have done their assignment thoroughly before you make any allegations. I think it would be wrong to hang him if indeed there is something there, and it would be wrong to hang him before you have done a thorough investigation of what it is that he's saying. It is when there is no smoke, then we can say, oh, look, that was a false alarm. And then you should be held responsible for such a thing. So but in the meantime, I don't think it is proper to just sweep an allegation under the carpet.
Well, the Nigerian Observer is saying the same thing this morning. Its angle is similar to that of the Tribune. Northern senators dissociate themselves from budget padding allegations, and he says in that writer, I was misquoted. I'm ready for suspension, according to Ningi. And you know, Mark, when you say we need a professional translator, 4 words come to mind. You want translation, transliteration, interpretation, or decoding? I don't know. The ball is in your court. That's the Nigerian Observer's lead story today.
Translation, transmutation, transliteration, or the trances. But while we're talking about the trances, let's look at Daily Times and what they lead with. We will overcome challenges, feed our people. Tinubu assures Nigerians. That's the story they're leading with on Daily Times. But the picture there is what's exciting me. 6 Nigerians with gold medals, and I think they got that from the wrestling event at the Africa Games, all Africa Games going on in Ghana at the moment. That's Daily Times for you.
6 Nigerians. Looks like 4 of them are women, or 5 of them are women, from what I can see here. Women doing women proud, especially in the month of women. Well, take a look at what. I think this is Business Day now. Business Day has this lead story here. Business Day, food takes bigger bite out of Nigerians' wallet. How much are you spending on food? Is this something you can confirm? Well, I'm sure if the men don't know about it. I want to believe they do, because sometimes Madame will just stretch out her hand and say, look, I'm going to the market. But just in case you don't, I'm sure the women certainly can tell you what is happening in terms of the prices of food. Market. We'll leave it there for Business Day.
And you're not talking about food. Let me direct your mind to what's happening on the front with Mr. and Mrs. this morning on the Vanguard News, front page of the Vanguard newspaper. You do it yourself. But the blueprint is also talking food. But it's something that we've heard before. Tinubu orders release of seized food trucks to owners. Kano governor begs for reopening borders. Renewed hope agenda working. That's according to former President Buhari and First Lady Remi Tinubu. Details continue on page 8 of the Blueprint newspaper today.
This Nigeria has this story, the same story from the Senate, but the one that caught my attention is FG owes 100 billion naira debt of electricity bill. That's coming from ANED. FG owes 100 billion naira debt of electricity bill. That's one of the major stories on the front page of This Nigeria, and that's the one that caught my eye. That's it from This Nigeria.
It'll be interesting. I mean, many times you hear the federal government saying that they have to intervene in the power sector. What if the way of intervening would just be pay your bill? Will it make a difference?
No, you're saying pay your debt.
Pay your debt. Pay what you owe. Pay what you consume, you know, in the ministries, in Aso Villa. Pay everything that you owe and see whether it will make a difference. Well, oftentimes they intervene in the generation part. They intervene through MBET, assuring the prices of gas to those who are producing and generating. But at the consumer end, where it is that, I mean, with the distribution companies, if they paid what they owed, will it make a difference? Will the distribution companies pay back to both the transmission and the generators? Will it make a difference? I think it's something that the federal government can find out by paying at least a part of it. What happens?
Well,
I guess that wraps our look at the dailies this morning. Quite a lot of them stick out. You cannot ignore the front page of Vanguard newspapers this morning. Sub-regional forces working to destabilize Nigeria. That's attributed to the presidency. The question is, what do you want us to do with this information? Whilst it is that, you know, citizens are already aware, the question is, what is government doing now that you have this information? We've been told about terrorists doing all manner of things, you know, trying to destabilize the country, some of which the federal government knows and have been named in other countries. But yet, we're yet to see any prosecution here in Nigeria. So, and the federal government is said to know these people, and we're seeing Afenifere go after sponsors of terror. Afenifere charges Tinubu. So, we need to do something about it.
It's not just enough. It's not enough for the rhetorics. Let's see actions, and then let the actions be communicated. Again, we're back to communication now. Let the actions be communicated. Let the citizens know what is going on, what's being done to ensure their safety, so that, as I have said yesterday, so that they can sleep with their eyes completely shut and be at peace, knowing that their taxes are working for them? The people that they employed are doing what they are meant to do. Ayo.
Well, so one of the angles of security for me would be that of food, which leads the Business Day newspaper this morning. Food takes bigger bite out of Nigerians' wallets. And let me just look at the different angle to it, which is the business angle to it. It's the food chain we're talking about here, ladies and gentlemen. It is tremendous opportunity to make money. It is, which part of it? Is it the value adding? Is it the packaging? Is it the logistics of it? Is it the advertising of it? All of it is, the food value chain in Nigeria is huge. While it's taking a bigger bite out of Nigerians, I remember which government was it? I think it was the Ambode government that said that Nigerians, Lagosians alone, spend 1 billion naira on food. And the question that I asked at the time was, what's my cut out of that 1 billion naira? And it's still the same all over the Federal Republic of Nigeria, all 36 states with the FCT. What's your cut of that? It's an opportunity to invest, not one to jackpot, but hey, what do I know? Well, I think we can wrap up the papers at this point and go into the main gist we have for you this morning. One of those issues raised. Which one is it? I guess you have to wait to find out. We'll be right back.